Welcome to another installment with Win with Glenn, as we've been talking about winning and what we need to do in life and business. And I want to continue the conversation, gang, about the things that you should know or what you should know before. That's an operative word. Even as I hear myself speak, that before you go into business, and there's a list. And I want to say that again: before you go into business.
Welcome to the Win with Glenn video podcast, where Glenn Henderson and special guests will give you the tips, insight, and tools you need to grow, develop your business and career. Go with us as we dive into the best practices and rock-solid principles that will elevate you and bring proven success. Now, here's Glenn Henderson.
Last together, Jim, I was asking, is it better to be wanted or needed? It's really a debate depending on who you talk to, because there's people say, no, I need, there's a song
I be needed.
I need you and so,
Yeah.
but no, I sincerely believe that, even in my marriage,
Yeah. You don't bring marriage into
well,
this.
right. Well, and another thing too that a lot of people, we're gonna have a segment on how to raise capital, which gets everybody attention.
Yeah.
And but I tell people, nobody wants to do, and this is very, very important, business with someone who's needy.
Yeah. Oh no.
So just think about it.
Absolutely true.
I'm needy. So that's where I come up with these principles for my gang here who's joining in with me about better to be wanted than needed. And so, but we do know that fundamentally that business exists, and so we'll do this real time for the purpose solely to fulfill a need, or as you said, be a purpose.
Yeah.
Okay, so there's a need, there's a purpose. But then maybe it's success, as we could say, is positioning yourself where you're wanted.
Right.
So let's see, before I get into some of this details, I need to eat food. I just don't want your steak.
Right. Right. And I think this is where we are.
Right.
We live in a capitalistic society. People have choices.
Right. There you go.
When we were talking about integrity, we're talking about trust. Do I trust you or not? Now we're talking about, I have a need and I have the means to purchase, to exchange, whatever it is, to get my need met. So in America, particularly, in most of Europe and other parts of the world, we have choices. So now the decision is, do I want to do business with you, or do I want to do business with someone else? Because here's the thing, that the steak that we're going to eat, maybe they both pay the same price for it, but one charges more than the other one. It's amazing that in our culture, people will pay more.
People don't understand that.
For the same thing.
We have got to get into that. We won't do it today, but yes.
They will pay more because they want to.
That's right.
Because there's a perceived value added to it, right? Which we will talk about value adding. But I think it is that idea that I want to do business with you. Now I'm going to give you my Dr. Chambers piece of that. Here's what I think the research bears out. And that is because you make me feel valued and important. I fly certain airlines. There's 2 airlines that I fly.
That's right.
Because I feel valued.
Right.
I can get points, and you fly a lot too. We can get our points, we can get our rewards. That's all fine. Ticket prices come and go. But when I step up to the counter, I feel valued. They know who I am. They recognize who I am. I'm a valued customer, and I'm treated that way. I could get a cheaper flight.
Right.
There's always a cheaper way to go, but I don't feel valued. So I don't want to do that. Is that what you're talking about?
That's absolutely. That's where we say culture matters, character, because all those things feed into, once again, the experience. I remember listening to somebody and they were talking about I call it the best marketing capsule that you could ever put together, and it was they were talking lust, but I was like, oh, fine. But they said the lust of the eyes, the lust of the flesh, and then they said the pride of life.
Yeah.
And I said, that Coke bottle There's a commercial for Coca-Cola. That Coke bottle looks a certain way for a reason, right? It's got that little sexy curve,
Right.
and so
Right.
it looks good. It might taste good. If people don't understand the automotive makers,
Psychological.
that is
Right.
all how it makes me feel. So, right, what it looks like.
Right.
It makes me. I'm the man. I feel great. I feel I'm the boss
Right.
because you driving a certain car,
Right.
and so people don't understand all of those concepts are fundamental to a business because now we're saying even at a more meaningful level is meeting a need, is meeting a psychological need,
It
is meeting something
Emotional
more
need.
than
Right.
more than just a product. I'm reminded of as we're going to be doing some case studies in company spotlights. I opened up, this is this is business principle, rock solid principle number 2. If you have a great product, you have a great service, you don't need to sell it. Somebody else is going to sell it because they're going to tell other
Correct.
people about it.
That's correct.
So here's I'm doing it. They should be sending me a commissions check because I'm getting ready to talk about their business.
Right. Right. I'm referring them.
Yeah,
I'm referring
the
you.
last Apple product I bought, the box was just pristine. It was packed.
Everything
I mean,
was
it just
perfect.
it made me feel good. I felt important, and that's what we're talking about here. Is all that starts first from the top leadership. It talks about integrity. It talks about character, the culture, and then is meeting my need to feel, well, wow, this makes me feel good. And now I'm going to, and not only might I pay a premium that you're saying for that, or more than the next,
Right.
or cost is not, I mean, it's important, but it's less important.
It's less
right?
important.
And
Right.
so those are the things that people need to understand. And where what I wanted to do, Jim, as we've been framing all this up, is the business failure rate in the United States from the Bureau of Labor Statistics says that there's a couple of metrics out there that if 10 businesses start today, in 5 years, there's going to be 5 standing, and then at year 10,
track
there's
it
just going
out.
to be 3 standing.
Right.
So basically,
If it's a restaurant.
if I got 10 people
Yeah.
in business today, 10 years from now, only 3 of you are going to be around.
Right.
And what we're trying to do is give you principles where at least
You
3
have
of you,
them. Right.
right,
You're in
where
that
you're
group.
here. And,
Yeah.
and so most people, and it's amazing when I do these classes and courses and I talk to folks and you have 10 people sitting there, and I look at the, if, well, first of
doing
all,
a business plan
right,
or
if they have a business plan, and we'll be talking about that, if they have a business plan, all of them show profitability and success year 1.
Right.
I mean, every one of them, almost without fail.
I've had the same experience, yeah.
And but the actuarials, the actual fact of the matter is most businesses
Are not
will
gonna
fail. And so what we're trying to do is give you these principles
Yeah.
and concepts to be in that small percentile that will succeed, and it's about culture. Then another statistic, Jim, that I looked up is that what were the top 5 that tends to. So we're going to give you some meat on the bones, but the top 5 that tend to fail most, and somehow you caught all of this. The number 1 business that tends to fail most is restaurants.
Right.
The number 2 is independent restaurants that they have a failure rate of over 60%.
Right.
That's right.
Right.
And you have others, construction, insurance sales, so the direct sales type businesses that tend to
Tough.
fail the most. I'm not sure why restaurants. I don't know if it's ease of entry.
We can address that on another. There was a number of studies that were done on restaurants several years ago. Well, it started in the 80s and then followed up. We can talk about that later. But restaurants, every time someone walks up to me at a conference or something, they go, "Oh, my wife and I are thinking about starting a restaurant." And I'm like, "You need to run for the door."
Right.
Right. Get your wallet
Why?
and run. Don't look back. You do not want to do this because there's so few. There was a point where 85 to 90% of all restaurants would be gone in 5 years. That's changed a little bit, but that's what's against you, right? So, as you're going in, if you're thinking about what kind of business you want to start, you got to look at the data, which is what you're saying. Look at the reality of it. And you can say to yourself all you want to, or to your spouse across the table, well, we're going to be different. We're going to change the numbers. We're not going to
Right.
do that. But you better make sure you've got your ducks in a row, because you're fighting uphill. You're swimming upstream, right? If you're going against the grain on that. I'm not saying you shouldn't try it, or you won't be successful. I'm just telling you the statistics. And there's some, as we go further in this series, we'll talk more about the operational aspects of a business and how you can beat those odds
Right.
and make it.
Right.
But right now, I'm just saying, as you look at some of these types of businesses, you got to be rational. You can't let your emotions. Let me say this, and I'll turn it back to you. So a number of years ago, I read a research report, which was very helpful to me. It said, the guys make an argument. He said, people rarely buy anything, product or service, based on pure intelligence. They buy it based on pure emotion.
Well, we said that, right? Eyes.
I
Sure.
I want that. I like that.
That's right.
That makes me feel good. That meets my need. There's 10 of those, but I'm going to buy that one because I'm drawn to it.
Right.
I'm going to use this phone or this computer, or it could be anything, brand of shoes, whatever. But the study was just showing that most all of us, if not all of us, make those kind of ongoing decisions based on our emotion, based on how we feel.
Sure.
So that has to be taken into effect when I'm building a business, or I'm trying to get you to want to do business with me.
Right.
So now I'm going to stop on this. So it's not so much individually what I want, but it's whether you can produce for me something that is appealing enough for me to want that.
That's right. Well, that's why this topic is so important, and in this series we've been and shall continue to talk about businesses and the impact and how to create and make. And we talked about success, et cetera. So I've got to be honest and say, well, this is going to be one of the few segments that I already know we need to have a third installment.
Yeah.
And so for that, people, we are here discussing what you need to know before going into business. I actually going to use that as my segue
Exactly.
because the before is very, very important. What you need to know before going into business. This is Glenn. I'm here with Jim Chambers. This is Win with Glenn. I'll see you next time on another installment of Win with Glenn.
Thank you for joining us for the Win with Glenn video podcast. Stay connected by following and subscribing to this podcast on these platforms. Join us every week as Glenn and special guests give you the tools you need to grow and have a successful business or career.